guys, today we are going to review the Jericho 941. So this is really an iconic gun. I actually have two of them here. These are both Israeli surplus pistols. So you can actually tell by this little star engraved here. It's actually a Star of David, and it has the Hebrew letter Mem inside of it. And anyone that's engraved with that, that's a proof mark from the Israeli police. And that's the way you know that this one was actually used by the Israeli police as a duty gun. So the more common one that you would see in the Israeli police is this one over here with the nickel finish. Less common would be with the black phosphate finish. But these are both Israeli surplus guns. This one's also got over here, I don't know, it's kind of it's hard to tell, but it actually has right there, it's got that engraved star as well, the proof mark from IMI, from the Israeli police. And these are, one of them is an IMI manufactured gun, and the other one is an IWI. So you can tell by the markings over here. So this over here has got this little, it's got a symbol of IMI, which is some sort of a, it's like a circle of some sort, machine tooling, and then inside of it there's a sword draped with an olive branch, which is comes from the symbol of the IDF. It says under it right there, IMI. And on the other side, it says over here, Jericho 941F, Israel Military Industries Limited, IMI. So IMI turned into IWI sometime around 2005 or so. And so that's how you know this one was manufactured prior to 2005. This one over here, it says right here, IWI. This is the symbol of IWI. And then on the opposite side, it says here, same thing, Jericho 941F, Israel Weapon Industries Limited. So what happened? IMI, Israel Military Industries, was Israel's government-owned arms manufacturing company. And Israel started out as a very socialist country. And over time, it started to become more capitalistic. And then by the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of government companies were being privatized. And among them was IMI. So they privatized, and now IWI is no longer a government-owned company. It is now a completely privately owned company with a CEO and a board and all of that. I'm actually friends with some of the people at IWI. They still manufacture a lot of the exact same products as IMI, because don't forget, they inherited the factory, they inherited the machinery that IMI had. So all the things that they were producing, whether it's the Jericho or the Tavor or some versions of the Uzi, Galil, etc., Negev also, all that tooling stayed, and they continued producing the exact same products, but they just put a different stamp on it. So they stamped it IWI as opposed to IMI. So that's a little bit about the manufacturing, and of course these are both made in Israel. What's the history of this gun? Well, it's really interesting. So this actually goes back to the high power, Browning high power, John Browning, way back in the early 20th century. And so he developed that, and that was a very popular gun used by both Allied and Axis forces during World War II and thereafter. High power, not that the bullet itself has more power. It's still a regular 9 by 19. It was the capacity, because the magazines of the high power had 13 rounds. And back in the early 20th century, that was unheard of. Don't forget, a lot of people were still using revolvers then, which would hold generally 6 rounds. And then the 1911 held 7 rounds. And that was pretty standard for military pistols at the time. They had a single stack magazine of 7 rounds, maybe 8 rounds. But going up to 13 rounds in a double stack, that was pretty unheard of. And it was just a very rugged design, and it worked really, really well. And so a lot of countries adopted it. And then after the war, the Czechs, who were at the time under communist rule, but have a long history of developing weapons, some really high quality weapons the Czechs developed, they came out with the CZ75B. So I actually have that over here in my gun bag. Let's find that CZ75B. Here we go. This is the CZ75B. So a really, really beautiful weapon. So it's got a lot of features of the high power. If you're familiar with the high power, you'll see a lot of that in this weapon here. But this is just a really great ergonomic pistol. hammer fired, double action, single action. I mean, just really smooth, and this was a major success. But unfortunately, because at the time when this was developed in 1975, Czechoslovakia was part of the communist bloc, and so these pistols could not be exported abroad. And so what happened is a company in Italy known as Tanfoglio, they basically copied this, and they made for all practical purposes an unlicensed copy of the 75B, and they just called it the Tanfoglio. Well, at least that was the colloquial name of it. Everyone knew it as the Tanfoglio, and that became extremely popular, especially in Israel. And the Israelis at the time were issuing as their main battle pistol and police pistol as well. They were issuing Browning high powers made by FN in Belgium, and they decided that they want to go to the next level. They want to further refine it, because this is already a refined design of the high power, and then the Tanfoglio is a slightly more refined design of this, slightly. And so the Israelis said, hey, we're going to go the next level, and we're going to make something even better. And so they designed this. This was their design, the Jericho, the 941 F. And so you'll see some differences here. Interestingly enough, the magazines are interchangeable. So this here is a Jericho magazine, so you can actually put that into the 75B, and it's gonna actually hold. And then I'm gonna show you guys a CZ magazine. This here is a CZ magazine, and if you put that into the Jericho, that'll actually hold. So they're not exactly the same magazine, and there are slight differences, but they're close enough where they are interchangeable. So that's a really cool and interesting feature. You'll be able to tell the Jericho ones because they have this bottom plate over here, which is kind of thick plastic, whereas on the CZ magazine it's just a thin piece of stamped sheet metal. So it's a little bit of a different design, and the Israelis they like it this way. I like it that way too. So you'll notice some differences. The trigger guard is a lot sharper, a lot straighter, and more pronounced. You'll notice, first of all, I mean, this is the standard, and it's got the nickel finish, whereas these were pretty much, most of them, well, I don't want to say all, but most of them, at least the ones I've seen, had a black or gray finish. The beaver tail is a little bit more pronounced over here, a little sharper. The grip is a little different. The slide is a little taller, just a little bit taller. The hammer is a sharp hammer as opposed to a round hammer. So that's one feature you'll see, and then the sights are different. On the back side over here, you're going to see differences also. You don't have this recess over here, just like one straight line on the Jericho. So there are differences. The main difference being, I would say, is that as I mentioned, the CZ75B is double action, single action. So you can shoot this in both double or single action. But the Jericho was designed as single action only, and I get that. There really isn't a lot of purpose for double action in my opinion. I don't see why you'd want to shoot a handgun in double action. Single action, you have that light trigger pull, and it's consistent, and it keeps your shots on target every time. So you just keep that weapon always on target, and you're not going to confuse yourself, because you develop muscle memory knowing where those bullets hit based on where you're firing. So I like this design of keeping it to single action only. Nothing wrong with having the option of double action, I guess, but I like that the Israelis went with SAO. And then over here, you might be wondering on this one, it's got this little piece of plastic attached to the end of the trigger guard here. Well, the reason for that, from what I was told by people that actually work in the factory at IWI, is because of the length of pull here. Because it's single action only, the trigger guard is really big, and so to kind of keep your trigger finger in a small area so it's not flying all over, they added this. So I wouldn't necessarily have put that on myself, but it's on there anyway, so why not? I'm not going to take it off. And then this one here has somewhat different sights. You can see that the original sights here are just, on this one, just straight up, the rear side at least, is just straight up and down, where this one is kind of at an angle. So I actually really prefer the original sight, and I'll show you why. If you're trying to chamber this weapon one-handed, you know, on your belt. So you can actually do that, because this will latch right onto your belt. Whereas if you're going to do it with this, it's just going to slide right off. There's nothing to latch it onto, and having the ability to chamber your weapon one-handed, in my opinion, is a real advantage for self-defense. Because you never know if you're going to be in a situation where you may not have use of both hands. So I like having the original sight. I would not have put this sight on it. I would stick to the original straight up and down sight. So let's go ahead and shoot these guys. I got a few magazines here, and we'll see how they do. One thing I love about them is just their ergonomics. They just feel great in the hand. They just feel so natural. But again, the downside here is that they are heavy. These are all steel. These are not polymer like, you know, Glocks, and they are not aluminum framed like the SIGs. They are all steel construction, like a very old-fashioned, old steel construction, which again, it feels great in the hand, and it's really smooth to shoot, but it is really awful to carry. It's unpleasant. Some people don't mind. You know, if you don't mind carrying this, be my guest. This can be your EDC. I wouldn't necessarily choose this as an everyday carry weapon for that reason, because it's just so heavy, but that's me. I still love it. It is a great weapon, and I feel very confident with it. Would I use it for self-protection? Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and shoot it. This is one of those New York and California legal 10-round magazines I have for whenever I'm in New York or California. So let's try that first. Very, very smooth. Very, very smooth. I really like this. I really feel very, very confident with this gun. I mean, it is just so nice. It is so nice in the hand. There's just something just so natural about it. You know, let's go with another magazine. Oh man, yeah, this is a really beautiful gun. You know, I really have no complaints. You know, again, except for the fact that it's heavy. But you know, I'm a big guy. I don't really mind that much. Shooting it, at least, it's no problem. Maybe carrying it would be different. Let's try the nickel-plated one. Let's go with a full 16-round magazine. That's the standard here. We are in Pennsylvania. We're not limited here by magazine restrictions like people are in New York or California. I feel sorry for those people, but you know, gotta obey the law. So I have some 10-rounders just for whenever I'm in those states. I want to make sure that I'm complying with the law. You know, so it's always good to have. But this is the original. So let's do a little bit more shooting with that one. Shoot one-handed. Very, very nice. Very, very smooth. Man, what can I say? This is just a really great gun. I'm gonna go for the this. Let's see. Is this my last mag? Do I have any more here? Yeah, it looks like that's my last one. I'm gonna go shooting from the Neal with this one. Wow. Man, this is heaven. I mean, shooting with this, I have no complaints. You want a good gun for a great value. I mean, you can get these. Some of the importers like Sarco, some other companies, they have them in stock. These police surplus pistols, you know, I got these for really cheap, for about $300 a piece, back when you could get it for that price. Now it's probably between $450 and $500, but it is still worth every penny. And then once those run out, IWI is still manufacturing and importing these, so you could get a new one from the factory as well, if you're not going to find a police surplus one. So either way, these are absolutely excellent guns, and I only recommend them. So if you like this video, give us a like. If you've got any questions, make sure to put them in the comment section, and make sure to subscribe, and see you next time.